I think you're really going to enjoy the next set of exercises. We're starting to get into slightly more advanced features, of course, as they relate to Flexbox. One of the most powerful aspects of using Flexbox to control your web layouts is the ability to nest child Flex items into other child Flex items. In other words, a child Flex item can also be a parent Flex container. This allows you and I to create layouts that are as intricate as we need them to be to pull off the designs and layouts that we're trying to build. Now, to do this, what we'll have to do is we'll have to use one of our existing child Flex items and set it up as a parent container. So, in other words, it'll simultaneously be a child Flex item and a parent Flex container. Super cool. Next, after we do that, what we'll have to do is we'll have to insert some child Flex items into this new parent Flex container. Let's do that now. It's going to require a little bit of restructuring of our HTML, which shouldn't be too hard. Then we'll get into some of the CSS. Okay, so I'm going to zip over to my code here. I'm just going to crank up the height of my window here. What I'm going to do, I've decided here, is to use the second child div, this guy right in the center here, as the new parent container. Okay, so this guy is going to hold some child items of its own. Okay, so just to set this up here, and again, I'm trying to keep this as clear as possible. I'm going to get rid of his content there, the number 2. I'm just going to hit enter a few times like so. Okay, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the previously commented out divs, these guys that we commented out way back when. I'm going to grab these guys and cut them. And I'll get rid of my comment markup here. And I'm going to go and paste these guys into the second child container like so. Okay, just like this. Now, give me a second. Again, I just want to make sure I'm keeping things nice and crystal clear here for you. This is now the setup that I have. I'm going to give myself some extra room here, some extra white space to hopefully make this nice and clear for you. So there's the child2 div that now contains 6 child elements of his own. Okay, let's save up our code and head back to the browser here. I'm going to crank out the width of my browser just a little bit, and we'll go and refresh. And this is what we wind up with, something like this. So as you can see, we now get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all in the center column. However, all of the new nested child divs are all stacked on top of one another. Do you know why? Because at this stage of the game, they're all block level elements, and their parent container, which is a child Flex item inside a parent Flex container of its own, starts to get a little confusing here, a little bit more advanced again, isn't being told to be a Flex container. Let me say that one more time. These new nested child divs are stacking because they're block level elements and their parent container isn't being told to be a Flex container. That's what we're going to do next inside of our code, of course. So let's head back there now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and find child2, the child2 class rule, this guy right here inside my CSS. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm simply going to go display :_ flex, just like we saw way back at the beginning of this course. This is how we establish a parent Flex container, right? I'm going to go ahead and save up my code, head back over to the browser and refresh. Now we have something like this. Now all the nested divs become inline and their widths are being determined by their content, which is a result that hopefully you were expecting. Okay, now let's push this a little bit further. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to my code here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create another new class rule specifically for our new nested child items. And I'm going to create him just underneath the child class rule that we have here, which is currently setting a height of 100 pixels. I'm going to create a new rule here called child nested, like so. And as far as properties are concerned, for this guy, there's going to be just one. I'm going to set a width of 100 pixels. Okay, so that's fine. The next thing that I want to do is I want to go and apply this new class rule to the 6 nested child items. So I'm just going to come along here and just paste this new class name into the class attribute here for each of these guys, just like this. Okay, so just take a moment to set this up. So again, these 6 nested child items are all going to be under the control of child nested. Now, bear in mind, they're actually under the control of 3 class rules each: child, child nested, and whatever specific child item they happen to be. Okay, go ahead and save up your code, head back to your browser and refresh, and there's our result now. Okay, so we have a width of 100 pixels on each of these guys. Again, we're getting some extra empty space inside the parent container for these 6 nested child items, and we can choose how we want to handle that. But what I want to show you here is if we scale out, we're going to get that empty space, no big deal. If I start scaling down, what happens is eventually I'm going to wind up getting horizontal scrolling, which of course in web design is not usually desired unless it's intended. So we have a couple of different ways that we can handle this or resolve this horizontal scrolling. That's what the next few exercises are all about. We're going to take a look at that. But for the time being, you may want to review what we've done here. Again, we've nested some child items into an existing child item, and then we set this child item to be a parent Flex container. So now we have nested child items, which are inside a nested child item, which is inside an overall parent container.